All right, so in terms of the mechanism of evolution, we're going to see actually how the evolution takes place, what is the, you can say, the whole entire ideology behind it, and what are the steps that go behind it. Now, what is the origin of this variation and how does speciation occur? You people understand the meaning of speciation? Speciation means formation of a new set of species, right? So, how does that occur? Now, even though Mendel had talked about the inheritable factors that influence the phenotype, Darwin either ignored these observations or he kept silence. He did not take whatever Mendel gave as a law into consideration. Now, in the first decade of the 20th century, Hugo de Vries, based on his work on the evening primrose, brought forth the idea of mutation, that is, large difference arising suddenly in a population. We also know, we have studied in genetics chapter about mutation. Mutation is what? That sudden change in the DNA sequence, right? Sudden change. Students, switch on your videos. Come on quickly. I will not ask 10 times. It is a rule, as I told you. If you're here, you have to switch on your videos. That's it. And if you don't want to, you can leave the class. All right. So according to him, he believed that it was the mutation which was causing the evolution and not the stuff that was being inherited by the offspring. So, with that being said, mutations, they are random. They can occur anytime in any set of genes and in any generation. So, they are random. They are directionless. Maybe the parental generation did not have any mutation, but the offspring does. So, it is directionless. It doesn't necessarily mean that this will be the trend that followed, right? And talking about the variations according to the Darwin, so they are small and directional, right? The Darwin variations are really small. If you talk about that finches, Darwin finches, right? The finches had different kinds of beaks, but that is like a very small variation that is there, isn't it? Now, moving forward, evolution for Darwin was gradual, meaning it was slowly happening in steps. While for De Vries, meaning Hugo De Vries, it was because of mutation that the evolution took place. And Hugo de Vries said that because of the mutation, the speciation happens and saltation takes place, meaning single step large mutation takes place, right? Meaning it is mutation that is driving force for evolution to be occurring on the, you can say, earth. Elsewhere, according to him, nothing else was the reason for mutation happening. This much is clear. Like, this is sort of like a clash in between what Darwin thought and what Hugo de Vries said later on. Now, to explain what happens, there is this principle called as the Hardy-Weinberg principle. Now, according to this Hardy-Weinberg principle, just one second. Yeah. So one can find out the frequency of a allele occurring in a gene, meaning how much or how many genes they occur in a particular, you can say, population, or what is the frequency. And if one would have, like, you can say, deduce the whole entire equation, then one would find that the frequency should be fixed and same throughout generation. Meaning, however many times a particular chromosome or a particular character is being expressed or being masked, that gets passed on from one generation to another generation, and it is fixed, it is stable. Now, Hardy-Weinberg principle stated all of these things by using algebra. How many of you like algebra? Algebra, you people might be studying in mathematics, I think so. If
Yes,
anyone
ma'am.
has maths in along with PCB. How many of you have maths along with PCB? Is there anyone like that who has PCMB? All my students are bio students. Pure core bio. Huh? No one gave maths a chance. Okay. All right. Now, according to the principle of Hardy-Weinberg, he said that allele frequencies in a population, they are stable and they are constant from one generation to another. The gene pool, meaning however many total number of genes are there in a particular population, that becomes the gene pool. The gene pool remains constant when we talk about a population. Now, this is called as genetic equilibrium, meaning the fact that the particular genes or the particular number of genes that will remain constant, that from generation to generation. This is what Hardy-Weinberg said. Now, individual, also one more thing, that the sum total of all the allelic frequencies, like the however many times alleles are occurring in a population, that is the frequency. So the sum total of that frequency is 1, meaning constant. That is what they are trying to tell us. Now the individual frequency can be named as P, Q, etc. And in a diploid condition, the P would become P square, right? Meaning AA, right? Like how we used to denote capital A for a dominant character, small a for any dominant character, right? So the frequency of capital A would be represented as P square. The one that for the recessive character will be Q square, and 2PQ will be the hybrid character of them both. Okay. So all in all, they gave the equation as P square plus 2PQ plus Q square is equal to 1. This is the equation that they gave. And this is what Hardy-Weinberg, whenever you heard about, hear about Hardy-Weinberg principle, this is what should come to your mind. This is what their biggest contribution in the field of biology was. They gave this particular equation. And we know that this is sort of like the A plus B ka whole square wala equation, isn't it? This is what everyone knows. So this is P plus Q's whole square. Now, when frequency measured differs from the expected value, the difference or the direction indicates the extent of evolutionary change. Meaning, if the value that is said, meaning that is constant, that is 1, if the value differs from that, if the value comes out something other than that, then we can say that, okay, some sort of mutation might have taken place, some sort of, you can say, evolution might have taken place, right? So the change of frequency of alleles, meaning however many times the alleles are occurring in any generation, that becomes the frequency. So that can be intercepted and interpreted as the result of evolution. Like why is that happening? Because evolution is slowly taking place. And see, while they were giving the particular equation, they also plotted graphs. Many questions are asked from these graphs also. See, they said that this first condition, this first graph that you're seeing, this first graph that you're seeing, this one, right? This is like the peak is right in the middle, right? It is, this type of graph is known as a stabilizing graph, a stabilizing equilibrium. Why? Because here, let's just say if we are taking the example of height. Okay, so when the average height is taken, not too long people, not too short people, when the average height is taken into consideration, then the graph comes out to be stabilizing, right? The peak, right? Now, for example, if one of the attribute of the character is taken into consideration or taken, chosen, for example, if short people are more in a frequency as compared to long people or a tall people, so slowly this graph, right from being in the center, it would shift to one side. Whatever character they are choosing, it will shift to that side. So the peak would shift in one direction. That becomes the directional curve. The second one is directional curve. It will either go to the longer one or go to the shorter one. Now, just in case in a, you can say, population, both the kind of heighted people are found or they are taken into consideration. Or let's just say if 50% of the people are tall and 50% of them are short, so the kind of representation of the graph would be this one. Two peaks will be observed. And this kind is known as disruptive. Okay, two peaks are observed, meaning two characters are selected. If the peak is straight in the middle, then means only the average character of them both is selected. And if the peak shifts to the right or to the left, then that means only one character is favored. Clear? These are the three kinds of graphs that you would get. Now, moving forward, let us see a very famous question that comes along with this is that what affects the Hardy-Weinberg principle? Meaning, how, like, we have learned that p square plus 2pq plus q square is equal to 1, that is constant. But what is that something that will change the value of the constant? Right? There must be something that can change the value. So what are they? 5 factors known to affect the Hardy-Weinberg equilibrium. Gene migration or gene flow that can affect it. Gene migration means, for example, if there is a land and a type of gene frequency is found in land, and then new species from another land come to this land. So now new characters or new frequencies of alleles will be observed. So that is gene migration. And obviously the equilibrium will be messed up because of this. So gene migration or gene flow affects it. Then there is genetic drift. Genetic drift, for example, have you people ever heard about continental drift? Like a continent would get cut half and become a separate of its own due to some climatic conditions.
Yes, ma'am.
Like, right? So basically what happens, like how if you think about the polar ice caps or the areas that have those snow beds and everything, they are cutting off a part, right? So maybe at one point they would become a different population of their own. So that is genetic drift. Then mutation. All of you know about mutation, right? What is mutation?
A sudden change
Sudden
in
change in the hairstyle.
no
Then sudden change in, sudden change is correct. Sudden change in
gene.
the DNA sequence, right? Sudden change in the sequence of the DNA, because of which phenotypic expressions are also affected. So that also affects the equilibrium of Hardy and Weber. Then there is natural selection. All of you remember the industrialization example, melanin, moth example, right? One of the population was favored, the other was not so much. So that can also affect it. So, and also genetic recombination, meaning introduction of new characters. You remember recombination, crossing over, right? So that is also the reason for the equilibrium to be affected. Now, when migration of a section of population to another place and population occurs, gene frequency change in the original as well as in the new population. Whenever the organism will migrate from one particular area or a land to another, a new one, then we can say that first of all a new population will be formed and this equilibrium will be sort of affected or messed up. Now, new genes or alleles are added to the new population, and these are lost from the old population. Obviously, a set of organisms, when they are moving to another land, so for that, the different land, they become a new species. But for the old one loses it. Okay. Now, there would be a gene flow if this gene migration happens multiple times, right? If the gene migration is happening many a times, meaning many species are going and multiple times it is happening, so we'll call it as gene flow. If the same change occurs by chance, then we call it as genetic drift, right? Just like how the land got cut off due to certain environmental condition. Now the organisms have no control over this, right? So that is also what affects the equilibrium, and this is what is known as genetic drift. Sometimes the change in allelic frequency is so different in the new sample of population that they become a different species. For example, there is land A and then there is land B, right? All the organisms that live on the land A, they are of same kind, and the ones that live on the B, they are of same kind. Now, some organism from this land A would maybe get migrated to land B. So land B has a different kind of population. Land and the organisms that are coming from land A, they are different, right? So they become so different that they form their own population in that land, in the new land, right? They become a different species only. So the original drifted population becomes founder. They become a new set of species for the other land. And this is what we call as founder effect. Clear? It is all theoretical. There's nothing, you can say, very explanatory in this particular chapter. But you've understood up until now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, very good. Now, microbial experiments show that pre-existing advantageous mutation, when selected, will result in observation of new phenotypes. Over few generations, this would result in speciation. Speciation means formation of a new set of species. Natural selection is a process in which heritable variations enabling better survival are enabled to reproduce and leave greater number of progeny. Again, we know that whichever population of organism will thrive better, will be better in terms of health and reproduction, they will only go to the next generation or give rise to their offspring. A critical analysis makes us believe that variation due to mutation or variation due to recombination during gametogenesis or gene flow or genetic drift results in the changed frequency of genes and alleles in the future generation, right? Because anything that is related to the gene, whether it is mutation, whether it is gene flow or genetic drift, that will get passed on from one generation to another generation, right? Coupled to enhance reproductive success, natural selection makes it look like different population. Natural selection can lead to stabilization in which more individuals acquire the mean character value, right? Meaning only the average value is favored, not only one extreme or the other extreme. Now, directional change, for example, more individuals acquire value than the mean value. So then, right, just like how they were favoring short-heighted people or the long-heighted people, then that was directional change. And then when both the characters are favored, then that becomes disruptive or disrupted curve. So this Hardy-Weinberg principle is clear to you all? Any doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
The notes for this chapter also I'll provide.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am? I
Okay,
shouldn't
ma'am.
provide?
No, no.
Okay. All right, now a brief account of evolution. About 2000 million years ago, the first cellular forms of life appeared. The first cell, right? The mechanism of how non-cellular aggregates is still not known. So we'll not talk about it. It's still not known, then what should we do? Why they have put this chapter only if nothing is known? All right. This is, I feel you students. I feel your pain. All right, now the reaction could have been similar to the right reaction in photosynthesis, where water is split with the help of solar energy, captured and channelized by the light harvesting pigments. So initially, single cell organisms were found 2000 million years ago, right? Now from single cell organism, multicellular organism came, right? And approximately 500 million years ago, invertebrates were formed and active. Everyone knows what invertebrates are? Do I have to tell you? Who will tell me what are invertebrates? Invertebrates. Who will tell me what are invertebrates? Please, someone tell me. The name only tells us about the characteristics. So read the name and tell me the character.
They don't have vertebrae.
They don't have and then mute. Say it loudly so that I'll know whether you're saying it right or not. They don't have what?
Vertebrae.
Vertebral column.
Chordate.
Yeah, they don't have vertebral column. Also, they don't have notochord. That is why they are invertebrate, right? They are the lower organisms. So after, like, first single cell organism, then multicellular organisms, then invertebrates. Also after that, the jawless fishes, they evolved around 350 million years ago. This whole million years ago is important to remember, okay? Now, seaweeds and few plants existed probably around 320 million years ago. We are told that the first organism that invaded the lands were plants, right? And because of the plants only, we are alive, because where would we get oxygen from? They were widespread on land when animals invaded the land. Fish with stout and strong fins could move on the land and could go back into the water. This was about 350 million years ago. In 1938, a fish caught in South Africa. The name was coelacanth. How many of you remember Animal Kingdom? You do, Maria? No, you don't.
Kind of 50.
So this coelacanth was mentioned in that chapter also. It had this property of, you can say, being on the land and then going back to water, right? Because fishes obviously can't survive on land. So this particular fish was actually thought that it was extinct. It was no more in the world. But again, people found it. Now these animals called as lobe fins evolved into first amphibians. So now from the fishes, amphibians were found, right? Now we know that amphibians, they live on the land as well as they live in the water. Now there are no specimens of these left with us. However, these were the modern day frogs and salamanders. The initial amphibian which was formed, we don't know which kind of organism it was, but we just know that it lived on land also and it had lived in water also. Now, from the reptiles, sorry, from the amphibians, reptiles would also come, right? The amphibians evolved into reptiles. Now, what is the speciality about reptiles? And actually, the difference, see, amphibians, their eggs are not covered by a shell. So, their eggs can be damaged very easily. But when we talk about reptiles, so they have a proper shell around the eggs, so their eggs will not get you can say attacked also, and it will not get dry also. Then the modern day descendants of the reptiles, right, the things that we have today, turtles and tortoises and crocodiles, all of these are the modern day reptiles, right? Initially there were some other reptiles, we don't know about that. Now in the next 200 million years or so, reptiles of different shapes and sizes dominated on earth, right? After 200 million years ago, then giant ferns, that is pteridophytes, were present, but they all fell to form the coal deposit. They got pressed under the land. Some of these reptiles went back into the water to evolve into fish like reptiles 200 million years ago, that is ichthyosaurs. The land reptiles, of course, the dinosaurs, the biggest one out of them, that is Tyrannosaurus rex, right? T-Rex. It was about 20 feet in height and had huge, fearsome dagger-like teeth. So while the time reptiles evaded the land, reptiles were present in much more number. So at that point of time, dinosaurs were prominently present on the earth. About 65 million years ago, dinosaurs suddenly disappeared from the earth. We do not know why. Maybe the climatic changes killed them, right? The climate now, like earlier, we used to have global warming. Now we are having global frying and global boiling and stir fry and everything, right? It's so hot these days. It did not used to be like that. I mean, in India during this time, a very beautiful monsoon season used to happen. Now every other day the rain is coming, but it is like increasing the heat even more. So We can't even call it global warming anymore. We'll call it as global boiling, global frying, stir frying, microwaving us. That is what is happening. Now, we do not know the true reason why dinosaurs disappeared. Some say climatic changes kill them, and some say that most of the dinosaurs evolved into birds. So, we don't know what happened actually. Apart from that, small sized reptiles of that era still exist today. Now, the first mammals were like shrews. Their fossils were small sized, right? The first mammals were like shrews. Now, mammals, they are viviparous, they will give birth and protected their unborn young one inside the mother's body. Mammals were more intelligent in sensing and avoiding danger at least. When reptiles came down, mammals took over this earth. So after reptiles, mammals took over. Yes, Maria?
What are shrews?
Shrews are like they are very small heighted bendy organisms. I'll show you. You have seen this? Wait, just one second. Can you see any changes in the screen?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now? Not yet?
Yes, ma'am.
These are shrews. So these are like they come under mammals. So we were actually like from the reptiles, the first mammals that invaded the land were shrews. Okay. Now their fossils were obviously small sized, right? And we know that mammals, they have intellect. Mammals are intelligent. Now mammals, when reptiles came down, mammals took over this earth. They were in South America, uh, mammals resembling horses, hippopotamus, bear, rabbit, etc. They came, and due to continental rift, when South America joined North America, these animals were overridden by North American animals because they were like more in number, they were stronger. So the South American mammals, they got wiped off. Due to the same continental rift, pouched mammals of Australia survived because Australia also got separated and Australia did not get any foreign animals come on there. That is why the Australian mammals, the pouched mammals, right? Plus this thing, kangaroos and all of those, they did not get any competition, so they survived. Lest we forget, some mammals live wholly in water, such as whales, dolphins, seals, sea cows, and are some examples. Evolution of horse, elephant, dogs are special stories of evolution. This much is clear. Is there
Yes,
anything that
ma'am.
you people need teaching for this? If there is, then please tell me because I don't know what else
No, ma'am.
to teach you this. Okay, we are almost, I think this is the last topic. This is interesting. This part is the only interesting part of the chapter. The origin and the evolution of man. Many a times questions will be asked from this chapter. I hope you can see that big star I put here. So you know how important this particular topic is. Now, about 15 million years ago, primates that were known as Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus, they were existing. Right? These are sort of like you can say the breeds of humans. We don't say breeds for humans, right? We say breeds for dogs and cats, but sort of like they were the groups of organisms that had been present before. They were primates. What are primates? How many of you know what are primates? Whatever is there, like what do you think when you think of a primate? What is the meaning of primate?
Hairy.
Okay,
They have
hairy.
thumbs.
Okay, very good. And
They know how to use tools.
They know how to use tools. No, that is like very farther on, like very further on, not farther on. But talking about primates, primates are those organisms that have sort of like a cyclic biological pattern in them, right? It can be menstrual cycle, it can be estrous cycle, various kinds of cycles are there. They have hair on their body and all of these things. Now, in general, mammals have hair on their body, right? Do people know that? Why are mammals called as mammals? This thing you must know, students. Why are mammals?
Because we have because females have mammary glands. That's why.
Say it
Because
clearly.
females have the mammary gland. That's why.
Mammary glands are possessed by males and females both. That is why mammals are known as mammals.
Oh,
But before you people think, mammary glands, males? See, mammary glands are present to be real in male and female both. But the difference is that the mammary glands of female is functional and the male is not functional. Okay? Or else where
okay,
would you
ma'am.
put males? Male humans, not mammals. Males are also mammals, but their mammary glands are not functional. Okay, so coming on to the evolution and origin of man. So the Dryopithecus and Ramapithecus, they were hairy, but they walked like gorillas and chimpanzees. Have you people seen the gorillas and chimpanzees walking? Like they
Yes,
walk,
ma'am.
they use their forelimbs also, right? Hmm. Then came Ramapithecus. They were more man-like, while Dryopithecus was more ape-like. Ape, you understand? Chimpanzee, gorilla, all of those, they are apes. So few fossils of man-like bones have been discovered in Ethiopia and Tanzania. They revealed hominid features leading to the belief that about 3 to 4 million years ago, man-like primates walked in the eastern Africa. They were probably not taller than 4 feet, but they walked upright, meaning right from the Ramapithecus. Right? Ramapithecus, they were man-like organisms existing at that point of time. And this now, they did not walk like gorillas and chimpanzees. They were straight. Now, they could walk straight on their feet. But they were not very tall. They were 4 feet only. Now, 2 million years ago, as Australopithecines, they probably lived in the East African grasslands. Evidence shows that they hunted with stone weapons, but essentially ate fruits. They did the hunting process, but they ate the fruits only. Like their diet was vegetarian. Some of the bones among the bones discovered were different. This creature was the uh, this creature was called the first human-like being, called as the hominid. And this hominid was Homo habilis. So the first human-like organism that was found, it was Homo habilis. Now, since we are talking about human-like, so we'll also talk about brain, because our brain is what makes us human, right? Imagine there are some people whose brain don't work, right? Figuratively, not literally. Their brains don't work, right? So you would think that they are crazy. They do weird stuff. I'm not talking about the people that are diseased. I'm talking about the people genuinely whose brain don't work, right? So anyway, so now since we are talking about these humans or human-like organisms, so we'll talk about brain. So brain capacity or cranial capacity. It was 650 to 800 cc. Cc is cranial capacity. Now, Homo habilis, they did not eat meat. Fossils of them were discovered in Java in 1891, revealed the next stage, that is what? Homo erectus. The name only suggests Homo erectus, meaning now they are erect body. Their posture is erect, straight. And they were like found up approximately 1.5 million years ago. Now, Homo erectus, they had a large brain around 900 cranial capacity, and Homo erectus, they probably ate meat. Now, the Neanderthal man with a brain size of 1400 cc, They lived in Near East and Central Asia between these many years back. They used to hide their body. Now, see, earlier than this, none of the human-like organisms used to cover their body, right? But now this intellect came right from the Neanderthal man. They started to cover their bodies, and uh, like they used to take those leaves, big leaves, to cover their bodies, also to protect their bodies. And they start burying their dead, like whoever in their clan died, they start burying them. Homo sapiens, they arose in Africa. We are Homo sapiens. Now moved across continents and developed into distinct races. Right? There are so many races in the world. Yes, Mariam. Why the face? Say anything that you're not understanding, or any logic. If you're searching for logic, then go. So Homo sapiens, they arose, and uh, since they arose in Africa, so always remember the human beings that we are, Homo sapiens, right? We came from Africa. Okay, we
Is
came
this
from
correct?
no, we came from Africa. But for the sake of your exam, you have to learn this. I don't believe all of these. Okay, I don't believe evolution theory, but it's not for us to believe and not believe. We have to learn. You people have to learn. Just for the sake of your exam, just learn it. Okay, and then never talk about it ever again. So, talking about the Homo sapiens, they moved across different continents, because of which we have so many races today, right? Ethnicity, races, right? Asian, non-Asian, or whatever, all of those, I don't even know. So, those things are there. Now, the prehistoric cave art developed around 18,000 years ago. Now, this paragraph is very, very important because this came in neat as it is, the cave art and everything. So people started to do art and everything. So if you look at the caves, you might have seen, if you have seen The Mummy or the movies like that, they have, like, they go inside the cave and they light the fire and they see scriptures like this one. They see weird scriptures like this, right? Dancing or something doing like that. So that was cave art, right? This is how, because people did not used to talk initially, right? They had no words, they couldn't have talked, so they used drawings. I don't know how they knew how to draw, but did not know how to talk. But you get the like, you get 18,000 years ago, cave art was developed. Now agriculture came around 10,000 years back, and human settlement started. Clear? So we're done with the chapter. We have basically we have completed this particular chapter. In this particular chapter and in this paragraph, the cranial capacities of each of these organisms, Diopithecus, Ramapithecus, the cranial capacities are very important. Which of them covered their body, which of them ate fruits, used stone weapons, all of these information, tiny little details, are very, very important. So you people, please learn it. Even though you find it boring, I get it, but please learn it, because questions may be asked from this particular chapter. So we are through with this chapter. Any doubts? Anything people want to ask me? No? Nothing?
No, ma'am.
So, okay, so the next, now out of all of the chapters that are there in your people's syllabus, we have only two chapters remaining. We have organism and population remaining, and we have biotechnology, these two chapters. Like for your, like majority of your syllabus for what is the exam, half yearly exam. Is there any additional chapters you people have other than these two that I've mentioned right now? The question is to everyone.
Ma'am, for half yearly, I only have till by health and disease,
Human health
human
and,
health and, yeah, a little there.
okay, so for you the syllabus is completed, isn't it?
Yes,
For you.
ma'am.
Okay. And what about the rest of the students, Mariam? What about you? How many chapters are coming in your exam?
I'm checking 1 minute.
basically, the next chapter that we have is organism and population. But to be very honest, I don't want to start that chapter. I'll start biotechnology. That is sort of interesting also. It's very
So ma'am,
interesting.
tomorrow we're gonna start biotechnology tomorrow.
No, right now.
Oh yeah.
Right now I'll start. This chapter is completed. Okay, I'll start biotechnology. It's very interesting. You people will like it. I'm sure of it. So yes, Mariam, tell me.
I have sexual reproduction in flowering plants, human reproduction, reproductive health, principle of inheritance and variation, molecular basis of inheritance. That's it.
Oh, okay. Good. Then your syllabus is also complete. Okay. Are you people studying? The syllabus is completed. Are you people studying? Have you started to study? Preparation for your exam, has that been started? Yes or no?
I have to study ma'am molecule micro chapter, the micro chapter and this evolution chapter.
All right. Okay. Then let me start the next chapter, that is biotech. Okay, which chapter do you people want to study? Biotechnology or organism and
Bio
population?
biotechnology ma'am.
What about the others? You people
Bio
can go through the chapters, see the chapters. All of you have the liberty to do so. The
which one?
organism and population and biotech, the first part of biotech.
Biotechnology ma'am. Organism, it looks hard ma'am.
Organism and population, it's not hard. You people have studied EVS?
Yes ma'am.
It's EVS, environmental studies.
Organism
Mm,
and population.
Organism and population.
Yeah. I don't want to study about DNA and stuff.
Oh no, that's not molecular biology.
No, it's there in biotechnology.
Yeah, biotechnology is not like molecular biology. It's very interesting. Okay, what about the others? I need a tiebreaker. I need a tiebreaker, so someone else choose one chapter. We'll start that chapter. Biotechnology or organism and population. I need a tiebreaker. I have to teach both the chapter. I have no option, but I can choose the sequence. Yes, where are the rest of you? Sleeping? Hmm? Amna and Siddhika, are you there or sleeping? Hmm?
Ma'am,
Yes,
Yes,
organisms and population.
organism and population.
Yeah,
Okay. What about you, Amna? Were you saying something else?
organism and population.
Organism and population. Okay. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, but I have to start organism and population. Okay.
it's okay ma'am.
It's not tough. Both of these chapters are very easy. So don't get, I'm not choosing them on the basis of tough or difficult. I'm choosing them on the basis of my interest. I like biotech better. But okay. So, all right, we'll start with organism and population. Can you people see the screen?
Yes ma'am.
Again, this chapter, see, this chapter does not require any notes either. But don't worry about the notes. I'll provide you the notes. Okay. Maybe it will not be handwritten. I'll give you the study material also. So you people can manage with the study material too, right? As long as the points and the definitions are there, you people are good, right?
Yes ma'am.
Hmm. So I'll provide you that only because I'm not getting the time to write it. So I'll send you the material picture only so that you people can learn. Okay. talking about the organism and population. So welcome to the EVS side of the biology. This is ecology. Okay. Now, in this chapter, we're going to talk about the different kinds of populations, the different communities, the different ecosystem, how the organisms are interacting with each other. Also, we're going to talk about the different kinds of relationship between organisms. How many of you remember the example of symbiotic relationship
Lichens
and
and
mycorrhiza,
oh
right? Mycorrhiza and life. So just like that, we're going to see variety of relationships that exist in the environment. Now, our living world is fascinatingly diverse and amazingly complex. We can understand by investigating the various biological organization. We have macromolecules, we have cell, tissue, organs, individual organism, population, community, ecosystem, and biomes. Let me get to the point. Organism and its environment. This is all nothing. It's like how diverse is the world, how beautiful are trees, how important are bees. That's it. Coming on to organism and its environment. Now, this is important. Now, this chapter comes under ecology, the study about environment, right? Ecology at the organismic, ecology at the organismic level is essentially physiological ecology, which tries to understand how different groups of organisms are adapted to their environments in terms of not only survival, but also reproduction, right? Okay, so see, we know that our planet rotates around the sun, right? Because of which we have seasons, because of which we have day and night, all of those things, right? We have also variation of temperature. Also, we have summer, winter, and what is the other season? Rainy season, fall season, all of these things we have, right? Why? Because of the earth rotating around the sun. Now, these variations together with annual variation precipitation. Precipitation means a combination sort of like rain also and snow also. Like rain is not everywhere, right? In some places that are, you can say towards the North Pole or area, they don't have rain. Rain is basically water falling down from the sky, right? They have snow. So precipitation is that only. So what is the temperature? What is the precipitation of that area? Because of that, how many or how, well, like what amount of rain happens or what amount of um, sunlight is there, the temperature is there. Because of that, we can talk about biome. Our world has been divided into certain biomes, right? These are the major biomes that you see, and this is the area that they cover. Okay, the smallest, the teeny tiny areas covered by the desert. When you talk about desert, what do you think about the temperature? Hmm? Tell
high
me.
temperature.
Very high
High
temperature,
temperature.
right? Scorching heat. And what do you think about the precipitation of the desert? High or low?
Precipitation of
Desert,
low.
low, very low, right? Almost nil. The rain is almost nil in the desert, right? But then when you talk about tropical forest, like have you ever heard about Amazon forest, rainforest, right? That is
Yes,
famous
ma'am.
for its great vegetation. It's known as the lungs of the earth, right? Why? Because so many trees are there, and also the annual rainfall or precipitation is a lot in that area. Then we have temperate forest, we have grassland, then we have coniferous forest and Arctic and alpine tundra. So all of these that you're seeing, this should be learned by heart. The different biomes. They'll ask what are the different kinds of biomes in the world. So you'll write these. Clear? Okay, regional and local variation within each biome led to the formation of a wide variety of habitats. Major biomes of India are shown in this particular figure. On planet Earth, life exists not just in a few favorable habitats, But even in the extreme and harsh habitats, such as scorching Rajasthan desert, perpetually rain-soaked Meghalaya forest, deep ocean trenches, torrential streams, permafrost polar regions, high mountain tops, boiling thermal springs, and stinking compost pits, to name a few. Meaning, life can exist anywhere depending upon the organism. It doesn't mean that we have to go and live in the polar ice cap or we have to go and live in the compost pits. No. The thing is that life can exist anywhere because there are so many different kinds of organisms. Do you people remember archaebacteria? They survived one of like the most harsh climates, the harsh acid condition, salt condition, right? So just like that, organisms are present everywhere. Even in our intestine, so many microbes are there in our gut, right? Healthy microbes, non-healthy microbes also, right? This is the picture of the biomes of India. The first one is tropical rainforest, right? Tall trees are there. Then the second one is deciduous forest. Deciduous forest, you people remember what deciduous forests were? This is not the basic thing, like it's like kiddish thing. Deciduous forest, evergreen forest. What deciduous forests were those forests that had their leaves shed down for one season, right? The leaves used to shed down, but evergreen, the leaves used to never shed down, right? This is very basic thing. Then the sea part, this one is the desert. Then there is the sea coast along the water body. Now, what are the key elements that lead to so much variation in the physical and chemical conditions of different habitats? The most important ones are temperature, water, light, and soil. These four things varies from every single, you can say, biome or every single habitat, right? Temperature is varied everywhere. Water condition is also there. So we must remember that the physicochemical, meaning the abiotic components alone do not characterize the habitat of an organism. The habitat also includes the biotic components, meaning the biomes can have two kinds of components. We have abiotic. What is the meaning of abiotic?
Non-living.
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 Yes. And then we have biotic component. Now, the abiotic component includes the physical component also and the chemical component also. We have temperature, water, light, and soil. But in the biotic, what do we have? We have pathogens, right? Pathogens exist in the world. You people have studied bacteria, virus, protozoa, helminths. Then parasites. Parasites also exist. Predators also exist. Competitors also exist, right? And there is a constant interaction between all of these organisms that are taking place. Now, we assume that over a period of time, the organism had, through natural selection, evolved adaptations to optimize its survival and reproduction in its habitat. We know that every single organism it has been evolved. It has variety of ways that it learned how to survive. Now, let us talk about the major abiotic factors. The first one is temperature. Temperature is the most ecologically relevant environmental factor. You are aware that an average temperature on the land varies seasonally and decreases progressively from the equatorial region to the pole, right? We know that North Pole has such a cold environment, whereas the equatorial part or equator part of the earth has sunlight, right? It receives the maximum sunlight. So the land varies seasonally, like the average temperature varies seasonally. It decreases from the equator towards the pole and from the plains to the mountain tops. It ranges from sub-zero level in polar areas and high altitude to above greater than 50 degrees Celsius in tropical desert in the summer, right? The temperature for tropical desert is greater than 50 degrees Celsius, but then it is in negative degrees in the polar areas or the mountain areas. It is a general knowledge that mango trees do not and cannot grow in temperate countries like Canada, Germany. Why? Why can't mango trees grow in Canada and Germany?
Because it's very cold there.
It's
It's very cold, low temperatures.
it's very cold there, right? And mangoes, they require a hot and humid climate. They require rainfall, right? So all of these things are there. That is why they cannot grow over there. Snow leopards are not found in Kerala. Why? Why can't you find snow leopards in Kerala?
Because
Because
there
it
is
doesn't
no
no
in
snow in Kerala.
Hmm. There is no snow in Kerala. Kerala has a lot of waterfall or waterfall. I'm saying. What is that thing called that comes out of the sky? Rainfall. Rainfall is there. A lot of rainfall is there in Kerala, right? That is why snow leopards can't survive there. And tuna fishes, they are rarely caught beyond the tropical latitudes in the ocean. So basically, they are saying that there is a particular reason because of which a certain group of organisms lives on a certain piece of land forever. Now, you can readily appreciate the significance of temperature to living organisms when you realize that it affects the kinetics of enzymes and through it the basal metabolism, activity, and other physiological functions. See, us humans, we have a temperature optimum and we can't live at a very extreme temperature condition. Why? Because it's not that we'll feel hot, we'll feel cold. Apart from that, internals of our, like we can say, structure, right? Our enzymes, they need to work at an optimum pH. We know that optimum temperature and pH is the requirement by the enzyme. So in that case, the enzyme will get denatured or it will get inactive. That is. Now, a few organisms then they can tolerate and thrive in a wide range of temperatures. We call them as eurythermal, meaning they can adapt the temperature. But those organisms that are restricted to a narrow range of temperatures, we call them as stenothermal. So eurythermal is those like group of organisms that can survive in any temperature. They can adapt that, whereas stenothermal are those that are restricted to a narrow range of temperature. The levels of thermal tolerance of different species determine to a large extent their geographical distribution, obviously. Right? If we were taken from like being Indians, so we live in this like particular area, so if we were taken and we were put in the North Pole, will we survive? No, we'll not, because we're not
No.
used to it. So in recent years, there has been a growing concern about the gradually increasing average global temperature. I just said. So if this trend would continue, then the polar ice cap will melt, right? The glaciers will melt, right? And because of which, what will happen? The North Pole will no longer exist. The the snow organisms, right? The polar bears and all of those, they will cease to exist. They'll get extinct. So temperature is clear to all. Eurythermal
Yes,
and
ma'am.
stenothermal is clear to you all. All right. Now let's talk about the next, that is water. Next to temperature, water is the most important factor influencing the life of organisms. In fact, life on Earth originated in water, right? And is unsustainable without water. We can't live without water. It's not possible. Its availability is so limited in the desert that only special adaptations make it possible to live there. You people know that the organisms that live in the desert, they have special adaptations. Can someone tell me one adaptation that they have?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, the organisms that live in the desert area, they have certain adaptations in their body. What are those adaptations? Any one example?
Like a camel,
What does it do?
it doesn't drink water
It does.
for like 7 days, something, I don't know.
It
It,
like
it drinks less water.
it drinks, like whenever it drinks water, it drinks so much as so that it will last the camel a week without water.
Oh.
So it stores the water in the body. It also has the hump, the fat hump, right? So very good. I mean, not very good, but you thought about camel. So yeah, that's the right approach. So you people know that water is extremely important, and there are organisms that have adaptations so that they can live in the extremities of the world. You might think that the organisms that live in ocean, lakes, and rivers should not face any water related problems, but that is not true. Because for aquatic organism, the quality of water, meaning what is the composition, what is the pH, that becomes very important. The salt concentration is also very important. For example, we measure the salinity. Salinity means how much salt is there. So if it is 5 in the, it is 5 or less than 5 in the inland water, it is 30 to 35 in the sea, and it is greater than 100 in some hypersaline lagoons. So all those organisms that can tolerate a high range, or you can say a wide range of salt concentrations, we call them as uri-haline. Uri, just like how uri thermal was there, same way uri-haline. Haline is referring to the salt. But those that are restricted to a narrow region, we'll call them as stenohaline. Okay. Many freshwater animals cannot live for long in seawater and vice versa because of the osmotic problems they would face, right? Because of the osmotic problem, because we know that if any solution contains more solute, what will happen to the solvent? What will happen to the solvent? If solute is more, the solvent will be less, right? If you take half a glass of water and you add 15 spoons of salt or 15 spoons of sugar to it, and then I ask you to dissolve it, will you be able to?
No,
No, right?
ma'am.
None of you would be able to. Okay. All right, moving forward. Many freshwater animals cannot live long in the seawater and vice versa because of the osmotic problems that they would be facing. Then there is the light. What have I drawn here? I can't even figure out. I don't know what is this. What did I draw to explain? Can you people
I
tell
think
what is this?
I think they're small plants, ma'am, or bushes.
Plant.
No, there's a sun and there are circles.
The
Sunlight on the.
sunlight
Oh
is falling on something, ma'am.
yeah. Okay. See, so bad. Oh God. See, this is, yeah, you people are right. See, you only knew. I even did not know. See, this is the sun, and these are palm trees, the tall trees. Okay, these are tall trees. So what I mean to say is that the sunlight would reach them better as compared to the, these are bushes. See, if I remove the circle, see, bushes. These are small plants. Okay, such badly drawn thing. Please don't pay attention to this. All right, let's talk about light. Light is again an abiotic factor. My screen is frozen now. Since plants produce food through photosynthesis, that will happen obviously. Light is very important for photosynthesis to take place. Many species of small plants such as herbs and shrubs, they grow in the forest. They are adapted to photosynthesize optimally under very low light condition. This is what I've shown you in the diagram. I've shown that this is the land. On the land, there are certain shrubs, certain bushes are there, certain tiny plants are there. And then on the same land, there are trees like palm trees. This is my palm tree, okay, students? This is my palm tree. I'm sorry, but if you draw this in the exam, I will not give you marks. And then this is the sun. Okay. So if the sunlight will fall, you know that only one or two trees will not be there in the forest, right? There will be hundreds and hundreds of trees, right? So they will sort of form like a roof, and they'll be receiving maximum of the sunlight. Then what about the lower plants, the tiny ones? Will they die? They'll not die. Why will they not die? Because they have adapted themselves to work better under low light condition. They'll not die. And in this case, they'll never die. Okay. So this much is clear to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
And why do they adapt themselves? Because they are constantly overshadowed by the tall canopied trees, right? Canopy trees are available. Now, many plants are also dependent on sunlight to meet their photoperiodic requirement for flowering. For many animals too, light is very important, that they use the diurnal and seasonal variation in light intensity for their foraging, reproductive, and migratory activities. There are many animals that work according to the sunlight. They work according to the light that they have. They reproduce according to that. They go to hunt. They go to find shelter according to that. Now, the availability of light on land is closely linked with that of temperature, since sun is the source for both of them. But deep in the ocean, right? Meaning greater than 500-meter deep in the ocean, there is a part of the ocean that is known as the benthic zone. Benthic zone. This part. This part receives no sunlight. This is the part in the ocean that is black, pitch black. It will not receive any sunlight. Right? So in any organism that exists in that area, they do not know that the sun even exists. Yeah? But they don't think that. We are assuming that on their behalf. Now, the spectral quality of solar radiation is also important for light, because we know what is the range that we use, which range of light we use. Now, you people are studying electromagnetic waves and all those chapters, right? Which is the part of light that we use.
UV.
If we use UV light, none of
Oh,
us
we
will,
use. We use. Oh,
none of us will survive, because all of us will have mutation. We'll become something else. Which part of the sunlight do we use? Have you people ever heard about visible range? No.
visible.
Visible range, the VIBGYOR,
Oh, Vibgyo.
the 600
Violet
to
indigo.
700 nanometer range, right? That is what we use basically. And you can see right here, they have said that the UV component of the spectrum is harmful to many organisms, right? While not all the color components of the visible spectrum are available for marine plants living at different depths of the ocean. Among the red, green, and brown algae that inhabit the sea, which is likely to be found in the deepest water, people find out. So water part is clear. People
Yes, ma'am.
understand. Yeah, but we were not talking about water. We were talking about light. So light part is clear, and water part is clear, and temperature is clear. How they are affecting organisms, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Moving forward, talking about the soil. Again, soil quality, the water holding capacity, the type of the soil, that is also very important. The nature and properties of soil in different places vary. It is dependent on the climate, the weathering process, whether soil is transported or sedimentary, and how soil development occurred. Various characteristics of the soil, such as the composition, the size of the grain, the percolation, like how deep the water can go down through it, and the water holding capacity, All of these determine a lot of things about the organism, about the plants that will grow in these. Now, these characteristics, along with the parameters like pH, mineral composition, and topography, determine to a large extent the vegetation in that area. You people understand this fact, right? That if any area does not have plants, then that area will not have or like animals also, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Plants and animals, they coexist, and it's very important. Now, this in turn dictates the type of animals that can be supported. Similarly, in the aquatic environment, the sediment characteristics often determine the type of benthic animals that can thrive there. So, same way, just like how soil quality, soil composition, the different kind of soil, all of these things are important to know in terms of soil. Same way in the aquatic habitat also, the sediments, the things that are found at the bottom of the ocean, that is also very important. Any doubts up until now? Anything if you want to ask?
No, ma'am.
I don't think anyone will have any doubts in this chapter because you people are studying. Okay, this part is important in this chapter.
Oh, what are benthic animals? I forgot.
What about the animals?
Benthic animals.
Benthic animals are those animals that are found in the depths of the ocean.
Oh,
So those organisms that live in the depths of the ocean, they also live accordingly, like according to the soil that's supports them, right? Soil, not soil, the sediment area, meaning the bottom of the ocean, right? There has to be some end of the ocean. So, yeah. Now, responses to abiotic factors. How do the organisms respond to these factors? Different organisms, they respond differently. Now, having realized that the abiotic conditions of many habitats may vary drastically in time, now we now ask, how do the organisms living in such habitat cope or manage with stressful conditions? Stressful condition doesn't mean that they have exams. It's basically environmental condition that is stressful for them. But before attempting to answer this question, we should perhaps ask why a highly variable external environment should bother organisms after all. One would expect that during the course of millions of years of their existence, many species would have evolved a relatively constant internal environment, meaning inside the body. But this is not the case. If any organism becomes constant, then that organism will die. So it's like sort of all of the chemical reactions, they keep on happening in the body. All of the changes, they keep on happening in the body, and all of that thing does. But the organism can't reach that stagnant situation, but they can try to. Yeah.
I don't understand this paragraph.
You don't understand this paragraph. See.
Same, ma'am. It's
Okay.
hard.
Okay. It's not hard. It's not hard. Please don't say that. See, I'll tell you. Basically, what they are saying in this particular paragraph, there is response to abiotic factors, meaning how is the organism, any organism, coping with the abiotic factors, high, low, whatever. Okay. So now they are saying that if we think of an ideal situation with all of the evolution that people have just studied, right? Various kinds of evolutions. So with all of that evolution, why has the organism not developed a constant situation? Like why does the organism has to cope constantly? For example, if the organism has evolved certain mechanisms to live in a certain type of temperature, water and everything, then why can't it be constant? It can't be constant because the environment is changing constant, right? That is what they are saying basically, right? Now, this constancy, for example, could be in terms of optimal temperature and osmotic concentration of body fluids, meaning the organism would maintain the constant internal environment. That is what we do. That is what we try to do. Basically, we also try to maintain the external environment. For example, if we talk about summers, right? Dreadful summers. I hate summers. So in summers, what do? We switch on the AC, right? Why do we switch on the ACs? Because we want to make the temperature according to what we feel comfortable in, right? It's not that, for example, if we are switching on the AC, if we are using the AC, it doesn't mean that we'll keep that AC on for the whole summer season. No, right? Sometimes we switch it on when we feel extremely hot. When it is unbearable, we do so. Same way in the winters, what do? We don't use ACs, rather we use heaters and blowers, right? Again, to maintain the temperature. So this way of maintaining the temperature or maintaining a constant internal environment, I'm not talking about AC and heater, I'm talking about internally how we do that, how organisms do that. We call that process as homeostasis. Homeostasis, the process through which any organism can try to maintain the constant internal environment is called as homeostasis. And this doesn't matter whatever is the external environment, the organism or it will maintain its own internal environment. Now let us take an example. Suppose a person is able to perform his best when the temperature is 25 degrees Celsius. Like your ma'am, me. I perform my best when the temperature is very, very less, meaning it's cold. I'll be the best performer in that. Right? So if a person wishes to maintain it, so what would the person do? Use air conditioner, right? And it could be achieved at home, in the car, while traveling, and even at the workplace by using an air conditioner in the summer and heater in the winter, right? And then that person's best performance can be seen in that way. But if you look at it, this is one way you can call it as homeostasis, but you are doing so with the help of artificial means, right? You're using machines for this particular thing. But there are certain organisms that have this ability to do so internally. We also do. We also do to some extent. For example, us humans, what do we do in summers? We sweat, right? We sweat a lot. And that sweating is there to cool our body and to eliminate out the toxins from our body. And then in winters, what do? We shiver. Shivering produces heat. So these two mechanisms are our body's own mechanism to do, like to find the homeostasis, right? Any doubts? Then
No, ma'am.
according to how they are doing the homeostasis, there are three kinds of organisms. There are confirmers, regulators, and partial regulators. So I'll not start this today. I'll start this tomorrow. Any doubts up until now? This whole chapter, and like up until now, you have anything that troubled you? You did not understand anything of that sort, apart from my beautiful diagram?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay, very good. I'll remove this because maybe like once I'm done teaching this to you guys, then I'll teach this chapter to the next 12th batch after a while. Again, I'll come here and I'll wonder what I've taught. So this is good, right? This is what you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. So this chapter is just like this only. It will basically go on like this only. There are various things in this chapter that you're going to see about the organism and its relationship with the environment and everything. So it's not difficult. Okay, and I have to give you the notes for microbes chapter, right?
And from human health, you have to give from AIDS, ma'am.
AIDS, cancer, drugs, right?
Yes, ma'am.
AIDS, cancer, drug, and microbes, and also evolution. I'll send you the study material, okay? And
Okay,
see, in
ma'am.
the study material, there will be extra stuff written. So don't get confused or don't get stressed out. You take out the part that is important from that, okay? You people
Okay,
are in
ma'am.
class 12, so I hope you will not feel abandoned by me. Because, it will take a lot of time for me to, make you write notes in the class because we have very less amount of time to complete our chapters for half yearly. And after biotech is done, yes.
We already completed microbes and human welfare.
Yeah, you were absent. I completed human health and disease and microbes in human health. And I think you started to come from evolution.
Yeah.
You have done no class in
Chapters are small.
microbes.
Yeah.
Very, very small and very easy, isn't it? The rest of the students, microbes
And
chapter is easy,
strategies
right?
for
Yes,
enhancement of food
That is
production.
deleted. It's not.
yes, ma'am. I think you took 3 or 2 classes to finish that chapter. That whole
Yeah,
chapter.
it is a very tiny chapter, so you don't have to worry. You like for all of you, you start if you read any chapter, and if you have any doubts, please come with me. Like come to me with doubts. I don't know why you people have no doubts at all. Do I teach that good that you people have no doubts?
Ma'am, your notes clear everything.
Okay, so that is so I will take it like this only that my students have no doubts because I teach so well. Hmm? Okay, but
Yes,
still
ma'am.
you people should have some doubts, no? Having doubts indicates that you are studying. Not having doubts indicates that you're not studying it also. Like, why would you have any doubt if you're not studying anything? Getting my point? So for now, I'll be living in delusion, thinking that I'm teaching so well that you people don't have the need of doubt sessions. Clear? Any doubts for today? No.
No, ma'am.
No. You people have never doubts. Very good. All right. So we'll keep it till here only. Tomorrow we'll start with the regulators. And I don't think it's possible, but I'll try to end this particular chapter. No, no, no. So we'll do as much as we can in the next class, and please come with doubts. At least you should let me know that you are studying, right? It's not going to waste. I hope none of your like whatever you people learn things here, right? All of you do.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
I hope it is not like okay, we are sitting, we'll wait for 1.5 hours to cross, and then done. I hope it's not that. Right? Come with curiosity, come with that eagerness to learn. This is biology, right? Everyone loves biology. I don't teach maths, right? I don't teach any calculated stuff. So my subject is very nice, isn't it? So most like all of the PCB students love biology, isn't it? Good, good.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, students, and see, since your half yearly exams are approaching, so try to learn as much as you can, right? All of you have to, you people remember how much you have to score? 70
Yes,
on
ma'am.
70, right? All of you, no excuse to anyone. Everyone must score good marks, right? And if we ever happen to meet, I'll give you party. Okay? If we'll ever happen to meet. So this is to all the students. We'll celebrate if you people get good marks. Okay. I'll see
Okay,
how we can
ma'am.
celebrate virtually. We'll decide that. But for
In
that,
boards.
hmm?
In boards.
No, in half yearly. Right now I'm talking about half yearly. And
Oh.
both so obviously. But in half yearly also you people have to get if you get good marks here, then it's written that you'll get good marks in your boards. Right? Isn't it? Is it? Is it not?